All right, we'll go ahead and get started. It's 1 o'clock. Hello and welcome everyone to Childcare Aware of Minnesota's November 2022 Tell Talk. Today we are joined by Chelsea Klein for a conversation about CCA's newest capacity building initiative, Power to the Profession. And Chelsea is the Workforce Development Advising Coordinator at our office and is the lead advisor on this initiative. Thank you for being here with us, Chelsea. Pell Talks, or Topics for Early Learning Leaders, are monthly webinars for early childhood program leaders to facilitate solutions-focused discussions for your questions about the early childhood field in Minnesota. These one-hour webinars do not meet the standards for a formal professional development training event, and participants will not receive a certificate of completion. Teletalks are designed as a community building opportunity for leaders to engage and share ideas surrounding a specific content area. The Teletalks team consists of Nikki Lepowski, Quality Improvement Coordinator, and myself, Christy Berg, Workforce Advising Coordinator. We work with Corey Woosley and Katie Hoffman at Childcare Aware to bring you the Teletalks. A couple of our recent topics have included implementing anti-racism and anti-bias practices in your program, and From Survive to Thrive, a director's guide for leading an early childhood program. Next month, Heather Charmoli from Minnesota Association for the Education of Young Children will join us to talk about the unifying framework. Please visit the program leaders page on our website to view previously recorded Teletalks. And after today's presentation, you will receive an email from me with the PowerPoint slides and any other resources shared. Childcare Aware of Minnesota supports the professional growth of early childhood educators with professional development opportunities such as Eager to Learn online training, grants, Parent Aware, and scholarships. We are a resource and referral network for early childhood education in Minnesota. We assist families in finding a quality childcare program and keep the community informed on the importance of quality childcare. Childcare Information Services is a department within our organization that specializes in statewide information sharing and assisting families who are looking for childcare. CCIS sends a welcome packet to new programs and surveys programs every 3 years on business policies and tuition rates. The rates are confidential and can influence CCAP reimbursement. CCIS receives calls from program leaders across Minnesota with general business questions and will route you to the appropriate person to contact. Childcare Aware partners with Center for Inclusive Childcare, which provides free RBPD, including support, modeling, and resources for childcare programs throughout Minnesota. A coach will spend time with your program, providing support, focusing on the successful inclusion of children with challenging behaviors or special needs, implementing health and safety best practices, and supporting the unique needs of infants and toddlers in your care. Achieve, the Minnesota Center for Professional Development, supports individual, trainer, and RBPD membership applicants and approves courses and training events. The Achieve MNCPD website has several resources to share, including a free job board, policy info, Minnesota Career Lattice, and a virtual career guide. The Teletalks team partners with several organizations to offer coordinated resources surrounding early care and education needs. As always, participants of Teletalks are encouraged to ask questions, make contributions throughout the presentation, and engage in dialogue with our presenters. We do like Teletalks to be interactive, so if you feel comfortable to turn your camera on, feel free to do so. The chat function is available if you'd like to use that. You could put your questions and comments there, or you can come off of mute and we'll take your questions that way. And again, we'll be sending the Teletalk recording in the follow-up email. And now we're excited to turn it over to our presenter, Chelsea. Thank you for being here with us today. I'll stop sharing my slides.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm going to share my screen here and then I'll get started. Just make sure everyone can see. Perfect. So Empower to Educate. It is a workforce development initiative and part of the Childcare Aware of Minnesota system. Just a second here. We officially launched the program in July, and I'm very excited to have the opportunity to share more about our program with you all today. I am new working at the Child Care Aware of Minnesota Coordinating Office. I started in April, specific to the Empower to Educate program. Before that, I was a director for 9 years at a child care center with 2 locations. And prior to that, I was a teacher birth through 5th grade. So I truly understand what it takes for you to take time out of your day to be here. I hope you'll find the Empower to Educate program has benefits for you and your staff that you'll be able to take advantage of today. So I will go over who can participate in Empower to Educate. And the Empower to Educate program overview, so including what our workforce advisors do, or the financial supports and wraparound resource referrals that we offer, job skills training, job placement support, ongoing career and education advising, as well as how Empower to Educate can support staff recruitment and retention. Then after that, feel free to jump in with questions, put them in the chat, or we'll kind of open up to questions at the end as well. So who can participate in Empower to Educate? We're really seeing this program as a way to meet people where they're at. So if it's someone brand new to the field trying to decide where to begin, or people who are currently working and wanting to grow their career through continued education. So that could be someone new to the field as an educator interested in beginning their career in family child care or a child care center. People recently working in the field as an aide, assistant teacher, or substitute. People with some college level education but have never worked in childcare and early education, or other people recently working in the field with some professional development or training and are interested in beginning their careers with additional coursework. I've also really thought about this as directly to childcare centers. If you have staff that have been primarily always working with infants and then will be moving to work with preschoolers, and the supports advisors can provide with specific, very specific development approved PD courses that can help them kind of grow with different age groups as well, or aides and assistant teachers wanting to become lead teachers. Our Empower to Educate workforce advisors, we are very excited. We've officially filled all of those positions. So our workforce advisors are now statewide. They are part of the Child Care Aware of Minnesota district agencies. So each of the colors on the map have workforce advisors for their specific districts. They provide local, individualized, one-on-one supports for Empower to Educate participants. And they support participants for a minimum of 6 months. Our program is 6 months, but at that 6-month mark, we really have, conversations with our participants, and the workforce advisors can support them longer than that if needed. The workforce advisors also will be doing outreach and recruitment to connect with diverse communities across the state and really trying to get more people involved in the early childhood field. Financial supports and wraparound resource referrals. This is kind of one of the exciting parts of Empower to Educate. So we do provide financial stipends for Empower to Educate participants. They can receive an educational prep stipend pretty early in the process, which is $300. The workforce advisor will really work with the participant on ways that they can spend that money. So if it is continuing professional development opportunities, if they need to buy a laptop to kind of work on the CDA or college level courses, if they need gas to get to trainings or to get to work. So they kind of advise on some of those things, but the participants do have, they can spend that money on whatever they need. So if they need groceries, they can buy groceries. We also provide a $600 hiring or advancement bonus once they've been employed at a licensed or certified program for 6 months. And we are getting people coming into the program who are not employed, so that 6 months would start once they have employment at a licensed or certified program. If people are coming in already employed, the 6 months starts once they sign their participation agreement with Empower to Educate. And their employment does need to be verified on Develop as well. We share information on additional funding options for additional training and education. So making those connections for our participants with CDA awards, Teach scholarships, the Foreign Credential Evaluation Scholarship, and kind of connecting them to the people to help support them through those processes. We also assist participants navigating systems and provide connections to a variety of community resources and services. So this can look like a technology literacy and access support. If it's, figuring out how to get your develop individual membership and connecting them that way, statewide resource hubs for additional resources outside of the field of education. One thing we recently have run into is free printing assistance. We had participants who needed to print some documents, and we kind of took that on, did a little research. We found out that their local library they could print for free. So really kind of helping find those resources that they need and kind of eliminate as many barriers as we can. Transportation assistance, if that's finding programs that can offer that, or connecting to different, getting a bus card, they would have that stipend money up front to get that. And our connections and our resources is constantly evolving and growing. And we really are, relying on our workforce advisors to kind of keep connecting to new resources and connecting our participants to the things that they really need. Job skills training and job placement support. So we offer a free training package, including pre-service training options. Our free pre-service training options are translated into Spanish and Somali. We provide them in person, online, via Eager to Learn and Anytime Learning. So there's lots of options depending on what participants need. We help them get registered for their Develop account and individual membership, guidance and resources on interview skills, resume writing, finding a position that aligns with a participant's values and professional goals, and connections to the free Achieve job board. And that's something that as directors would be a great resource. If you don't already know that the Achieve job board is free for job postings, you can definitely go there, as that's where we kind of send our Empower to Educate participants. The job skills training piece is really for the people who have not yet worked in the field. We really try to focus on finding the right fit for a position. Asking those questions like, do you have transportation to work, or do we need to look for employment close to your home? Kind of expectations of a work schedule. Do you have a schedule that you need to do part-time work or subbing work, or are you wanting full-time work? Do you have children that need childcare before and after school? As a director, I always remember interviewing. I'm like, yes, this person is going to be great. And then all of a sudden they're like, I can't work Mondays and Tuesdays. And it's like, oh, shoot, that's what I needed. So we're really working with kind of these new to the field people on being able to communicate that in an interview and, look at what a job really looks like and what would work for them as well. We provide SUIDS and HT, health and safety for childcare center, supervising for safety for family childcare, and a culturally informed practice course as part of our free training package. For participants who are currently working, the advising is really more around continuing education. So connecting to if they're looking at becoming an assistant teacher or a lead teacher qualified. We have a really great Explorer series for people who might be interested in, possibly becoming leadership at a childcare center, wanting to become directors, connecting to specific Develop approved PD options or opportunities. So this is really relating to when you're having advising sessions, if you're talking to someone who's working in a classroom and they may be having challenges revolving around building relationships with families or curriculum, we can then kind of connect them to specific Develop approved PD opportunities that relate to their needs. Ongoing career and education advising. So like I just mentioned, kind of that Develop approved training recommendations based on participants' interests and career goals. We also do connections to low to no cost college courses through the Teach Scholarship. We're very excited. In January, we'll be partnering with Teach program, Empower to Educate, and Pine Tech Community College to offer a 3 credit introductory college class, Intro to Child Development, that will be an option for participants in Empower to Educate. And that will also be offered to high school students to be able to get 3 credit hours and kind of see if this is the field that is interesting to them. Connections to adult education programs and GED supports. This was one of those resources that we didn't originally have, but we've been hearing people are needing some connections to GED. And so we're kind of adding that into what we can provide participants. Sharing information on the Child Care Aware of Minnesota Training Delivery System, the CDA, the Director's Credential, Care Fellowship Program, and then connections to the Teach Apprenticeship Program, which will be coming next year. And more information will be coming out from Teach on that program and what that will look like. So this is really a time where we take time to figure out what is best for the individual participant, kind of having those discussions of pros and cons of a CDA versus college level coursework. Asking those questions, do you like doing the work on your own time at your own pace, or do you really want that supportive community such as a cohort or a college class where you'll have, an instructor and a group to work through with. People who have their CDA and now what, and letting them know, they can transition their CDA does transfer to 3 to 6 college credits, and kind of connecting them to the resources for that process. And I can pause here for a minute, just if anyone wants to jump in and has any questions specific to the career and education advising, job skills training, placement, or financial supports provided.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to see you. The Pine Tech and Community College Introductory College class, is that, was there an email sent out with that information in yesterday or the day before?
I think that email was about the assistant teacher program.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep, you're right. I remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a specific way to get a hold of that resource? Because I do have places that I would send that information right away.
Yeah, I can send that out. I don't know if it's gone live yet, so I'll check with Annette at Pine Tech to see if that's ready to go out to everyone, or when she's thinking of a timeline for that.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions right now before I move on?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So if we have a classroom aide who needs to receive her GED, if she's did that through here, would she be able to then qualify for that after the 6 months bonus and things like that too?
So is she working on her GED right now with you and employed?
She hasn't started it yet, no.
Okay, so yeah, so that would be something like if she's already connected, you could definitely connect her with, Empower to Educate and their local workforce advisor. She'd be eligible to receive that $300 after she meets twice with her workforce advisor, and there's a few different paperwork pieces. And then her employment 6 months would start once she signs her participation agreement. And as long as she stays employed for 6 months after that point, then she'd be eligible for the $600 hiring bonus.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Chelsea, there's just a comment in the chat from Paula, and she mentions that all the teachers that she knows who are currently participating are thrilled with this level of support. So just wanted to call that out.
Good. That's so good to hear. We are here to support, so hopefully people are feeling that. Okay, I'll move on and then I'll kind of open up for questions at the end here. So another really exciting piece about Empower to Educate is our mentorship program that we are currently working on, and we'll be kind of rolling out a pilot program in the spring. This will be a great opportunity for current teachers in the field to take an 8-week free mentor training course through Eager to Learn on how to become a mentor. And they'll get trained in that process. And then they'll be able to be paired with a new to the field educator who's an Empower to Educate participant and mentor that person for 6 months. This mentorship program, we really wanted it to be accessible, across the state and across programs, so family childcare centers. So it will be something that will be applicable to in-person, online, and hybrid formats for the mentorship process. We will also be offering a free 2-hour ATL module for directors so that they can get some insight on what mentorship is, what it can look like in your program, and if it would be a good tool for you to use in your program to have a trained mentor to provide supports to new staff, and connecting those new staff to Empower to Educate. The mentors will also receive stipends throughout that process and through each connection with a mentor that they have for 6 months. They will also be able to be part of a peer mentorship community. So we'll have learning monthly meetings with all of the mentors across the state. So they'll be able to kind of learn from each other and support each other through that process as well. Our first round will start this spring as a pilot program. We want to make sure that our program is meeting the needs of educators in the field. So we're really wanting to get feedback from the mentors and the mentees who are going through this process for the first time. That way we can kind of make changes and adjust as we move into the next phase of a much larger rollout. If you're thinking of someone right now that you think would be a great mentor, you can send them our way, and my email's up here, and that will also be in the slide. So connecting to staff recruitment and retention support for programs and directors. We're hoping, Empower to Educate can really support you through your hiring process, connecting educators and potential staff with your local workforce advisor, working together to recruit and retain educators, connect recently hired staff with local workforce advisor to advance their career with additional training and coursework. And now that I've kind of gone through the program, I just wanted to walk you through a little bit of the participant side of what this looks like. So if you're thinking of someone who might be interested in Empower to Educate, you can connect them through our website. That would link them to their Empower to Educate workforce advisor. Then they'd be able to set up an info session where their advisor can really walk them through the program, what their expectations are of them, kind of that 6-month process. And then after that, they sign a participation agreement. They do a participation questionnaire, and that just gives some background information for them and their advisor to kind of start building that relationship and kind of see where they're at in their career. And then they schedule their first advising session. They get registered for some free coursework, set up with a developed individual membership. And at that point, they're eligible for that $300. So that can happen pretty quickly in the process. Then the rest of the 6 months is really individualized on what that participant needs, the supports they need. If it's, being able to email or call your advisor to answer a couple quick questions, but they do have to have a minimum of 5 check-ins during that process. At that 6 months, and once they've been employed and that employment has been verified, then they receive their $600 stipend on the back end. I'll stop sharing now. Actually, we have one more slide here. Our Empower to Educate with all of this, and you guys will receive this from Christy later. Can open up to any questions anyone has.
Chelsea, there's one in the chat.
Okay, let me.
They're just asking, does a mentor need to be an Empower to Educate participant?
So no, the mentors will not need to be an Empower to Educate participant, but they will be connected with the Empower to Educate program in order to be able to take the 8-week ETL course. They'll go through an orientation on what the mentorship process looks like specific to Empower to Educate. And then in order to get connected to a mentee and also receive the stipends. So they're not going to be an official Empower to Educate participant, but they will be part of the Empower to Educate mentorship program. If that answers.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are the funds that are going to be going as stipends to the mentors the same pool of funds that is currently dedicated to Empower to Educate, or is it a separate pool?
Brianne, were you going to jump in with that one? I was going to say it comes out of the Empower to Educate. We have specific funds for the mentorship stipends and program. Does that answer?
So the
Oh, yeah.
the payment for the mentors will be different amounts than what the participants receive. We're still kind of working through the fine-tuning the details of that, but all those compensation details will be included once we start marketing the program to potential mentors.
Thank you, Brianne. And I do see a couple more questions on the mentorship program. The compensation, so the compensation piece, yes, they will be compensated on completion of the 6-month relationship with the mentor. And we do have a couple compensation pieces throughout there, throughout that process. And then if they get repaired an additional time, they can continue that work. And just a little bit of guidance on the time. These will be teachers or family childcare providers who are currently working in the field as a teacher or childcare provider. And the work that would go in, the first time they will have that 8-week course in addition to, but then after they complete that 8-week course, the amount of time over the 6-month period, I believe, is close to 50 hours that we're expecting for them to put in during a 6-month time frame. So that's kind of what, just so you have a little bit of an idea of the amount of work during that 6 months for mentors. And then I see working on site at the mentors program. That is definitely an option to be able to be paired with someone on site as long as the mentee is an Empower to Educate participant. But we also really want options to be able to be paired virtually, because we know that there's a lot of family childcare providers that would like to be part of this program, as well as locations around the state where there's not necessarily childcare programs very close, and they might not always have someone newly hired to mentee. Any other questions?
These are great
think-
questions too. And if you do think of anything related to this topic, feel free to email Christy or myself or Chelsea or anyone here that can help you. And we can always follow up with you after today as well.
Yeah, and I think I'm really interested to see, as a director, I feel like this was always the work that I wished I had more time to do, was support my staff this way. So if you guys have any ideas or thoughts of, different resources that you're finding your staff really need, we would love to kind of hear about that, to see if that's something we could kind of implement into the Empower to Educate program.
Do you want to hear that right now?
Yeah, if people have ideas, sure.
Well, currently I'm working with a pretty significant group of teachers that are have experienced immigration recently, and they're new to the field, and their feet and back are hurting really bad. So we've been working on trying to figure out what shoes and gear will work best for them. And then I think also whether immigration experiences are new or not, I don't know that people have really started to talk very much about the depth of physical work that the job is. So supporting them with tension and stress relieving physical activities and how to slow down their movements during their day so that they're not overexhausting themselves and straining themselves, I think would be really useful. And I just have to say it again, literally every single person that is connected to this program right now are like, they're out of their minds happy. Like, this is so good. It's such a dream come true. I'm so happy about this program. Thank you all so much.
Paula, those kind words, I'm tearing up because that's really just what I wanted for this program, being in the field for so long and knowing
It's
that
incredible.
so many people
Yeah.
feel unsupported, and just being able to, sometimes you're just that ear to listen to, and other
They've said
times
that too. They
able to
said
like
that-
provide support.
Yeah, they have said, and this is several different people, it's not just one. So they have all said that the individual responsiveness has been incomparable, that the care and the attention has been so well received and so meaningful. And I think we've all really finally hit on something that's really working for a lot of different people across our state. I'm so amazed.
Shout out to the workforce advisors who are
For real.
on the meeting tonight.
For
And your
real.
feedback on the shoes and gear, that's amazing, because we can add that to our list of things that we talk about, what they can use that $300 ed prep stipend for.
Yeah. Yep. And just some guidance around what's going to work
Yeah.
and safe movements.
I'm making notes to pull some
Good.
different
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I think one thing that we had an idea come up was someone had a teacher they recently hired that didn't have money to get their official transcripts sent over. And so that was like, oh, we can add that to our list of what people might need to do with that $300 ed prep stipend. So things like that too, as you're kind of starting to think about, what resources new hires or people currently in the field are needing.
I also have noticed that some teachers don't quite know how to, if their organizations allow them to use pre-tax dollars to purchase bus cards, for example, they don't quite know how to do that. Or they don't know how to buy bus cards. They don't know how to make sure that those things are in order ahead of time so that they're not struggling to find transportation back and forth and can kind of plan out what that's going to look like.
Yes, I agree that is, I feel like I had to work with that with my teachers all the time, is making sure that transportation piece. And if they had a long bus trip where they had to transition several times, adjusting their work schedule to meet that need, or
Chelsea, a question that came up in some conversation I had with directors was if there's any support or ideas or resources surrounding educators, teachers specifically that have their own children and need care, but don't necessarily, or it doesn't work for them to bring their children to the program that they're teaching in. Any thoughts around that?
I guess that is not something that we've, had to have come up in conversation yet, but that's definitely something we can look for, how that would work. And so looking for childcare outside of where you're working.
It's come up a couple of times,
Okay.
whether it be like they just don't have space, enrollment, or the teacher can't afford it.
Yeah.
Based on what that organization does for benefits, or if it's something like that it needs to be more conducive for the other parent for pickup or drop off. So
Okay.
it's come up a couple times, so just curious.
Yeah, that's good. I'm making notes of all of these. When I was kind of thinking of the directors group and reflecting on ways that I would use this if I was a director, I always had teachers come to me like, I know this person who I think would work, but they don't have any education, they don't have any experience. And I'm like, this is a tool you can hand them and then, have them get employed at your program. Or I hired parents a lot and they didn't have any education or experience, but being able to offer a tuition discount for parents, some of them that made more sense than their current job that they had. So this would once again be a tool to kind of get them started on the career path prior to hiring.
What about digital literacy skills, like through the North Star programs that are offered?
Yes,
Is
I
that
think. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Paul.
I was just gonna say, has that been coming up, like computer skills to produce resumes or create newsletters, or kind of take that leadership step in providing some communication tools that stand out?
Yeah, and we are expecting that to come up, but we haven't really had to deal with that yet in the process. And a lot of these things, we kind of had all of these thoughts of these are things we can provide. And now once we've started, we're finally getting into, working with participants for a longer amount of time to figure out. So this is another, great thing that I think our workforce advisors have potential to really help with. And feel free after today, you can reach out via the website, my email. I'm definitely here to answer questions, make those connections. And I love to hear like these types of things that people are needing so that we can be aware of and kind of maybe get ahead of it with Empowered Educate program. I'm seeing,
Wonderful.
is there an average length of time or a maximum length of time that someone can be in the program? So our program is that kind of 6-month time frame, but at that 6-month mark, we don't want to leave anyone like unsupported. So they can continue to reach out to their workforce advisor, if they have questions about continued professional development, education, career piece. Sometimes they're getting connected with, their local PDA as they're kind of moving into some of that parent aware process or moving on to other things. They're starting their college education, so they have connections there. So we're never going to leave anyone unconnected or unsupported. And yes, they can continue to reach out to their workforce advisor after that 6 months.
Wonderful. Thanks, Chelsea, for the information. And if anyone does have any additional questions, let us know so that we can include this for Chelsea and Brianne and anyone else that needs to get that information. We're going to go ahead and switch gears to our other guest presenter today, which is Janet Peterson. I'll let Christy kind of cue her intro a little, and then we'll go ahead and open it up for Janet. And if you have any questions for her at the end, feel free to stick around too.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. Janet is here to talk to us today about the CDA awards. These are scholarships and reimbursements that are available to folks in the field who are pursuing the CDA credential. Janet, go ahead and share what you have for us.
Sure, thank you. I'll share my screen here, if I may.
Yes, I made you co-host.
Okay, here we go. And are we seeing the Child Care Aware Grants and Scholarships page?
Yes.
Good, awesome. Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about CDA awards because we've started a new quarter. So that means a new round of accepting CDA award applications. We divide up the year by quarters for CDA awards. So currently we're taking applications November through January, and then awards go out February 10th. CDA awards are broken up into 3 types. We have a scholarship award, and that is for folks who are ready to apply to the council for their CDA. They're just poised and ready, but haven't quite gone in to pay that application fee yet. And our scholarship will help pay a major portion of the application fee to the council. So we recommend that people visit our website for the CDA award information and apply for the scholarship. And then we can set up a voucher to help them pay that fee. And then the second type of CDA award is the reimbursement. Once a person has successfully gone through the process with the council and achieved that certificate, they can come back to us and apply for reimbursement. And that gives them whatever portion of the council's fee that they paid. Sometimes they pay it all, sometimes they use a voucher and pay a little bit. And then we also have some funds to reimburse for part or all of their training costs, depending on how much their training costs. We do have a cap of $600 for that reimbursement of training. So scholarship for just prior to applying with the council, and then reimbursement when the council process is over. And then we also have a third type of award, and this one is, I think it's almost a year old now, and it is for those folks that actually go into programs and observe the candidates for a CDA. So the PD specialists currently with the council are given a $100 honorarium for the observation visits that they do out in the field. And we were finding that, especially in certain parts of the state, folks were given one of our scholarships. They applied to the council, and then they were having a terribly hard time establishing a PD specialist to come out and do the observation. So we worked collaboratively with DHS to develop this stipend that gives the specialist an additional $300 if they observe someone who has received a CDA award, or if it's someone who has gone through our MNCDA or MNIT-CDA learning communities. So that is also found on the CDA Awards webpage. I do want to make a little bit of a note on the scholarship. We don't have this on the website yet because we do have future plans to revamp this page to make it a little bit more user-friendly. But the scholarships actually have just recently been changed to being awarded monthly. So what we are finding is people were ready. They were ready to apply to the council. And if they applied for the scholarship early in the quarter, they had to wait a few months to get their funds and follow through. So we are now offering those on a monthly basis on the 10th of every month, but reimbursements and stipends are still quarterly. So just wanted to give I guess a commercial for that. Are there any questions about CDA awards I can answer? I lost the chat. Oh, here it
It's
is.
okay, Janet, I got it. There aren't any questions in there right now.
Okay.
But feel free, anybody, if you do have a question, to type in the chat function, or you can just unmute yourself too. And this is a great time to bring up any comments or questions that you have regarding CDA.
Can I sneak in a couple more updates? Okay, great. We have a foreign credential evaluation scholarship also. And Chelsea mentioned this in her presentation. It's funding that helps early childhood folks who have received their education abroad pay for that evaluation that they need in order to get their transcript information added to their developed membership. And we, I'll go to that page as well. Oh, and I should mention all of these links are found on our Child Care Aware of Minnesota website under grants and scholarships. We'll go back down here. So what we've done is partnered with some evaluation agencies. And the update that I have is that we've added a couple new agencies to our list. These agencies have partnered with us and they will accept third-party payments. So someone would apply for this scholarship. They would include a quote from an agency that they've chosen off of this list. And then we try to turn around these scholarship documents really fast, because we know sometimes people are right in the middle of updating their developed membership. So within a day or two, I'll be able to review and give them a result of their application. And then they can connect with that agency and proceed with the evaluation. And then we pay the invoice up to $500. So I just wanted to let people know that the choices for agencies were a little more plentiful on that as of recently. Any questions on that?
That's really great for the foreign one. And I wanted to go back to the CDA one. So we had a staff member, we were mistaken in believing that her infant toddler CDA wouldn't qualify her to be a preschool teacher. So we had her do the trainings for the preschool CDA, and then we submitted it for the reimbursement and it wasn't accepted because her current CDA was still valid. Is there something we should do once her other CDA expires? Is there some steps that we should take?
That sounds like there are some layers there I'd like to talk to you more about.
Okay, that sounds good. And I could
yeah.
have her talk to you more because she was the one who was working on it. But I was like, oh, I thought that it was going to work, but then it didn't.
I'll mention a couple things. One is the CDA awards hinge largely on having the required CDA training listed on a developed learning record. That is one hurdle that sometimes people can't overcome, but that is kind of a big piece of this particular award, is having that training on a developed learning record. And then for reimbursement, we can go back a year. So for this round of applications, which started November 1st, let's say someone actually achieved their CDA September of 2021, and they're just now learning about CDA awards. They are within that year's time. So we can do a look back and accept their reimbursement application. I don't know if that relates at all to what your situation is, Christina, but I would love to talk with you more about it and see if we can figure out what might work for the staff person. So maybe I can put I'll put my phone number in the chat here. I have extension 123, which I love. I feel like, did they think I can't remember any odd numbers? But I hope that helps you a little bit. We can chat about it and see if we can point you in the right direction to something helpful.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Janet. Any other questions? I think there was one more in the chat. Let's see. There was a question from Paula. She's asking, is there a potential for the PDS stipend or bonus to support those who are observing for the early childhood ed teachers who went through other CDA programs?
I don't know.
We stumped you.
Yes, it's certainly something that could be considered. If you want to send like a specific program to me in an email, or give me a call, that would be great, and I can always bring it up for consideration. We chose to connect it to CDA awards and the MNCDA learning communities, by and large, to be able to predict our budget. We can track how many people are participating in those programs. Therefore, we can make sure we have enough budget to cover those stipends. But I would love to bring forward more things. We wish we could really support all PD specialists across the state, but money has a limit. So oh, and the PD specialist to observe virtually. That is a good question for Christy.
Thanks, Janet. Yes, the Council for Professional Recognition, they did start piloting a virtual verification visit option to CDA candidates, specifically those that do have, no PD specialists within a reasonable distance to travel. So I would just encourage that particular CDA candidate to contact the council directly to speak with them about their application and seeing if that would be an option for them.
Wonderful, great questions. And like we said before, keep them coming. You have Janet's phone number and Chelsea's contact info. They'll both be included in the follow-up email that will go out to everyone. So continue to generate ideas, questions, comments. As you can hear from everybody that was on, this really came from the need from you all. And it's really great to hear it organically kind of just continue and evolve. So thank you so much to Chelsea and Janet for being here today. We are very grateful for the work that you are doing. And thank you obviously to everybody that attended to. The work that you're doing is extremely important. So have a wonderful day, and we will follow up with an email with resources, follow up to your questions, and also the PowerPoint slide too. Thanks, everyone.